Welcome back to another position preview presented here by Missouri Tigers on SI. My name is Michael Stamps. We have started bleeding into the defensive side of the ball. I kicked off things with the linebackers yesterday. Let's dive into one of the most interesting and potentially the best position group on the roster in the defensive ends or the edges. I think it's safe to say that this is the room that maybe saw the most upgrades on the entire roster after the transfer portal and the 2025 recruiting class was added into the team, and it still seems to be one of the positions where there's the most excitement around it. So let's get right into this thing. You guys know the drill by now. I'll run down the projected depth chart. One question for the group, and then one reason to be confident slash excited. There's a lot of reasons to be excited with these guys, so hard to pick one. But let's get right into the depth chart. Uh, I think it's pretty safe to say that both starters are going to be Zion Young and Damon Wilson. Zion proved himself as a starter last season and ended up being one of the most important players on the defense. In many ways, delivered one of the most important plays of last season with that scoop and score against Oklahoma. Certainly one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting, moments I've seen in my young life in live football. And then Damon Wilson as well was a pretty impactful player for Georgia last year, a high-rated recruit. A couple years back. He was a five-star recruit, found his way to contributing for the Bulldogs last season. Now, very, very clear path to him being a star defensive player, and not only for Missouri, but in the entire conference. He's going to have more of a chance to shine, a little more freedom, show off some of his pass rush ability. I think everyone is excited to watch Damon Wilson. So I tiered these guys off. I tiered all six players, seven players off. So those are my starters. The next two are kind of the top rotational guys. It's Nate Johnson and Darius Smith. Nate Johnson, obviously from App State. Darius Smith going to get his first year of run with the Tigers after transferring from Georgia, suffered a season-ending injury last season. I feel like Nate Johnson is one guy that's really not being talked about much as someone who can contribute. It's going to be hard for him. He's not going to earn starter level reps, but very talented player. He saw a bit of a drop off in production last season. I think this is going to be an opportunity for him to have the time to grow in to a higher level of competition, but also show what he's capable of. So that'll be exciting. And then Darius Smith as well. We don't really know a lot about Darius Smith outside of the fact that he's insanely athletic, has a very unique build for a defensive end, but insane athleticism. He's healthy now, which I think is really important. So, going to be fun to watch Darius Smith. The next three guys, Javion Hilson, Langdon Kitchen, and then I threw Dayton Hopkins in here just in case maybe there's a universe where he does see the field a little bit as kind of those next rotational guys. Javion Hilson, highest ranked member of Missouri's 2025 recruiting class, super talented freshman. Haven't heard much about him yet during the fall, but I think everyone could tell you that the talent is there for him to see the field. Langdon Kitchen, transfer from Northwest Missouri State. He has a similar profile and skill set to Eddie Kelly, so it will be interesting to see if he can manage to play a similar role to what Eddie Kelly did last season, just a bigger defensive end, more of a run stuffer in that aspect. Maybe you can kick him inside if you want more athleticism there. But interesting to see where Langdon Kitchen fits in. And then Dayton Hopkins as well. A super lanky, skinny, true freshman from Herman, Missouri. I don't know if he'll play. I'm throwing him in here again just because he is super talented and has such a unique, twitchy build, such unique size as well. So going to be interesting to see if he can find his way onto the field. I don't know if he will, so I'm just floating that one out there as a little bit of a question mark. But seven guys who are super, super talented, good blend of veterans and younger players, tons of talent. I think the pass rush ability in this group is pretty exciting. That's not my most exciting reason or most biggest reason of confidence, but just throwing that out there as well. One big question I have for the group revolves around Darius Smith. It's clear that he's going to have a role on this team this season. What that role is, I'm really not sure yet because we don't really know what he brings to the table. Didn't have a ton of tape with Georgia and obviously doesn't have any in a Missouri uniform, so he still has to prove himself a little bit. We know that he's recovered and the recovery process has gone well, that his teammates speak highly of him, but he's just one of those guys that we haven't seen yet. Having a year in the system had to have helped him. He knows probably the ins and outs of the defense by now. You just got to put it on the field a little bit. So He must be comfortable in the defense, but he still, like I said, has to put it on the field. He should be an important part of this defense. We just don't exactly know what he brings to the table. Again, very unique player, unique size, unique athleticism. So, going to be interesting to see what Darius Smith can bring to the table for the Tigers this season. Certainly a question mark, but it's not exactly a negative question mark, which I think is definitely a good thing. Some of these other position groups that we've talked about in these position preview videos certainly have some questions where the downside could be negative. And with Darius, if maybe he's not the player that people think he is, it's not the end of the world because there are people who can step in and take it over. When you look at positions like left offensive line or left tackle or quarterback, when you're talking about a position battle or maybe a lack of experience at running back or something like that. Oh, or wide receiver after Marquise, Kevin, and Josh Manning. There's some genuine concerns there, but I think the depth in the defensive end room is solid enough where if Darius Smith doesn't pan out, there's guys. But I think he will. I think he has, like I said, a very unique blend of athleticism, and I think definitely a player people should be excited to watch. Reason for confidence is the depth of this room. Like I said, 1 through 7 all seem like they can find ways to contribute for this team, which again, very exciting. The two true freshmen are super talented, and even if they don't see the field all that much, you would hope those are guys that they can keep around just because that exact reason. That they are certainly more of a modern pass rushing defensive end for what NFL scouts look like. Not as big, but super fast and have a lot of length and a good pass rush move. So. That even a guy like Langdon Kitchen, who many people aren't talking about, which he was a lower profile transfer, but definitely a run stuffer and has a lot of size that he could bring to the table. Nate Johnson, like I said, is not a guy that many people are talking about. Also, I think he's really truly forgotten, but he's a high profile transfer and was a dominant force in his first season at Appalachian State. So, so many talented players in this edge room. I think that's really the most excited reason. Depth 1A, but B, just talent. It has a claim to being the most talented position on the roster. So certainly exciting stuff in the edge room. I think it's going to be a position that there won't be any issues or challenges with because of that depth, and it's going to be one of the most fun ones to watch. So that's that for the Missouri defensive ends. Make sure you're checking out all of our YouTube content. We're ramping it up as we approach the season, and then also go check out all of our stuff on Missouri Tigers on SI.